Imagine you are sitting at your desk right now, and you are trying to record the absolute perfect browser demonstration of a new web application you just finished building.
Oh, yeah. We have all been there.
Right. You have your screen recording software running. You carefully move your mouse so it looks natural but, precise. You get all the clicks exactly right. You type in the form fields without making a single typo.
Which is a miracle in itself.
It really is. You even miraculously manage to ignore that direct message notification from your boss, the one that pops up right in the corner of your screen, trying to sabotage your recording.
Yep.
You finish the flow, you hit stop, you breathe this massive sigh of relief, and then you watch the playback.
And you realize you completely forgot to highlight the most important new feature on the dashboard.
Exactly. You have to scrap the entire thing. You reset the database, you clear your cookies, and you start all over again. Take 47.
It is deeply, deeply frustrating.
For anyone who builds software, it's a nightmare scenario. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to look at a fascinating open source solution to this exact, very specific nightmare.
It's a great one today.
We are going through the GitHub repository for a tool called Webreel, created by Vercel Labs. We are going to unpack how this tool completely automates the creation of perfect scripted browser videos. And it does it using nothing but simple code.
It is such a brilliant concept when you actually dig into it, because looking through the documentation and the architecture of the repository, it's clear the Vercel Labs team has built something highly specialized here.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on a human being with a physical mouse and a keyboard just hoping their hand doesn't slip, Webreel takes a simple JSON configuration file.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I know a lot of people listening have probably used automated testing tools before, things like Cypress or Playwright.
Right, the functional testing tools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where you write a script to click around a website just to make sure the checkout button hasn't broken.
Yeah.
But Webreel is doing something much more visual, isn't it?
It is. It is not just checking if a button functionally works behind the scenes. It's literally acting as a cinematographer for your web app. That's just a standard text file where you list out the clicks, the typing, and the pauses you want. It takes that text, uses it to drive a headless Chrome browser, and churns out perfectly timed, flawlessly executed MP4 videos.
It's amazing.
What's fascinating here is that this isn't just a basic screen recording utility slapped on top of a testing framework. It is practically a robotic film director.
Yeah.
When you look at the feature set detailed in the repository, it automatically adds cursor animations. So you aren't just watching pages magically change, you actually see a virtual mouse moving smoothly across the screen from element to element.
Which is so crucial for a tutorial.
Absolutely. It adds keystroke overlays, so when a specific key combination is pressed in your script, the viewer actually sees it happen visually. It even includes sound effects. It bridges this massive gap between raw, functional browser automation and polished, ready-to-publish marketing or documentation assets.
I want to head down into the engine room for a minute and talk out how this actually works under the hood.
Let's do it.
Because for you listening, if you're wondering how a few lines of text in a JSON file become a high-quality, smooth video, the mechanics are surprisingly approachable. But they do require some heavy lifting. Webreel reads your steps from that configuration file. It spins up that headless Chrome instance we just mentioned, and then it starts capturing screenshots.
Fast.
Right, at a blazing fast rate of roughly 60 frames per second.
It is essentially taking a rapid-fire sequence of high-resolution images as the automation plays out in the browser. But obviously, a folder stuffed with thousands of PNG images isn't a video. And it certainly isn't something you can embed in a readme file.
No.
That is where the next crucial part of the pipeline comes in. Webreel takes those thousands of individual frames and hands them over to FFmpeg.
Ah, good old FFmpeg.
Right. For those who might not know, FFmpeg is the industry standard, heavy-duty multimedia framework. It takes that massive image sequence and encodes everything into a final, smooth, compressed MP4 video file.
And here's a detail from the source material that I absolutely love. Anyone who has ever tried to set up video automation or really any kind of media encoding in a continuous integration environment, knows that dependency management is a total nightmare.
Oh, it's the worst.
Usually you have to go track down and install very specific versions of Chrome. Then you have to figure out how to install FFmpeg on your specific operating system.
Whether that's Mac, Windows, Linux, it's always different.
Exactly. You have to update your system paths, fight with permissions. It honestly takes hours of troubleshooting before you even record your first second of video. Webreel solves this friction beautifully.
It really does.
The documentation explicitly states that on your very first run, it automatically downloads both the correct, compatible version of Chrome and the necessary FFmpeg binaries straight into a hidden folder on your machine. Specifically, it drops them in your user directory under a .webreel folder. If they aren't already installed, Webreel just handles it in the background. It's completely frictionless.
If we look closely at the architecture in the repository, this heavy reliance on a seamless zero configuration setup makes total sense for their target audience.
How so?
Well, Webreel requires Node.js version 18 or higher to run. It uses PNPM for package management, and it is written predominantly in TypeScript. In fact, if you look at the repository's language breakdown, it shows the code base is almost 85% TypeScript.
That's a huge chunk.
It is. What Chris Tate and the Vercel Labs team have created here is a modern, highly deterministic workflow tool. By automating those nasty dependency downloads and utilizing strict typing throughout the codebase, they have essentially transformed visual documentation into pure, reproducible code.
Let's talk about what you can actually build with this reproducible code, because the repository includes a fantastic folder full of examples.
The examples are great.
I like to think of these examples as distinct scenes in a movie. It really helps to show, rather than just tell, what this tool is capable of pulling off.
Right.
Let's start with the login scene. They have a provided example simply called form filling. The configuration file instructs the browser to target specific CSS selectors, like the username and password fields, and type specific text into them, character by character.
Which looks very natural.
It does. Then it instructs the browser to click a submit button. It simulates a flawless, smooth login flow that you could drop right into a customer help center article without having to record it yourself.
And the beauty is how easily that scales up to entirely different form factors. Another excellent example they provide is the mobile viewport scene.
Oh, I love this one.
The developers demonstrate how to record a finance app interface, but they constrain the headless browser to the exact dimensions of a mobile phone screen. You aren't just limited to massive desktop web views.
Right.
You can script out exactly how your responsive design behaves, how the hamburger menus open, how the mobile layouts stack. It ensures you have pixel-perfect demonstrations of your mobile web experience.
Then we get into the complex UI scenes. This is where manual recording usually falls apart.
Oh, definitely.
There is a drag-and-drop example in the repository. If you have ever, in your life, tried to record yourself smoothly, dragging a card across a Kanban board, trying to make the mouse look natural without stuttering or dropping it in the wrong column, you know how tough that is.
It takes so many tries.
Webreel handles it entirely programmatically. It moves elements from one precise coordinate to another with perfect easing. They also have a modifier clicks example. This simulates clicking on elements while holding down modifier keys like holding Shift or Command to multi-select several items in a file manager interface. The precision of the timing between the key press and the mouse click is just unbeatable.
The visual polish is what truly elevates these examples from standard automation to actual cinematography. Consider the keyboard shortcuts and the custom theme examples they highlight.
Yeah.
The tool doesn't just register internally that a key was pressed to trigger an action. It actually displays a keystroke heads-up display or a HUD right on the output video.
That is so cool.
In the example provided, they use a code editor page. When the script triggers the command plus Z undo action, the viewer actually sees a sleek CMD plus Z graphic pop up visually in the overlay. And the custom theme example proves you aren't stuck with their default look. You can fully customize the appearance of this HUD, change the colors, and even modify the animated cursor to perfectly match your own company's branding and design system.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the shared steps example. Think about this. If you are a developer or a technical writer, and you are recording 10 different video tutorials for your web application today, what is the one thing you have to do every single time you open a fresh, clean browser session to start recording?
You have to click Accept All on that pesky cookie consent banner.
Yes, the one that pops up and covers the bottom half of the screen. Or maybe you have to close a promotional modal.
It's so tedious.
Webreel allows you to use an include array in your configuration file. This lets you share common setup steps across multiple different videos. You write the JSON steps to locate and dismiss the cookie banner exactly once. You save it in a shared JSON file, and then you automatically prepend it to every single recording script you have.
That is huge for maintenance.
That banner is clicked and gone before the main video steps even begin recording.
That specific feature speaks volumes about how well the developers understand the actual day-to-day pain points of maintaining web documentation. It reduces so much repetitive boilerplate code. You don't want to maintain the close banner logic in 50 different files.
No, you definitely don't.
Now, let's examine the developer's toolkit within this repository. What actions can you actually command this virtual browser to take? Because it goes far beyond just moving a mouse to a coordinate and clicking.
You have incredibly granular control over the browser's behavior. We mentioned you can use the type action to input text, but what's brilliant is a tiny parameter called char delay.
Oh, I saw that.
You can actually control the exact number of milliseconds between each character being typed. That means you can make it look like a real human being is using the keyboard at a natural, slightly varied speed.
Rather than having an entire paragraph of text magically appear inside an input field in 1 single millisecond.
Exactly, which always looks fake and jarring in tutorials.
You also have the hover action, which is absolutely vital for demonstrating modern web applications. You can instruct the virtual cursor to move and hover over a specific text string or a CSS selector. This accurately triggers any hover states, interactive tooltips, or complex CSS reveal effects your application might have. You can use the scroll action to scroll the page overall, or even scroll within a specific nested container element.
Like a sidebar or something.
Right. They demonstrate this perfectly in their page scrolling example using a long-form blog post layout. You can select specific values in drop-down menus without having to script the individual clicks of opening the menu and finding the item. And crucially, there is a wait action.
That wait action is the unsung hero of UI automation, isn't it?
Without a doubt. You can tell the script to pause and wait for a specific element to actually appear in the document object model before proceeding.
Because web apps are async.
Exactly. Web apps are asynchronous. Sometimes a network request takes 10 milliseconds, sometimes it takes a full second. By using wait, you ensure the automation doesn't just blindly click empty space and fail if a page takes an extra moment to load. It waits for the visual cue, just like a human would.
I also really want to point out the screenshot action. This allows you to command the browser to take mid-video snapshots at any point in the timeline.
That is a brilliant architectural decision for anyone managing a brand. By including a dedicated screenshot action in the timeline, you can capture static, high-resolution PNG marketing assets or documentation images at the exact same moment you are filming the video.
Think about the workflow implications there.
It ensures perfect visual consistency across all your materials. Your user manual static images will match your video tutorial perfectly. Same lighting, same user data, same UI state, because they were generated in the exact same automated run.
And controlling all of this complexity is a very intuitive command line interface, or CLI. Let's walk you through the core commands available in the Webreel CLI, because it's designed to make writing these scripts as painless as possible.
Yeah, the CLI is very clean.
First, you have the init command. When you run this in your terminal, it scaffolds a brand new JSON configuration file for you. But it doesn't just give you a blank text file and wish you luck. It automatically includes a $ schema URL at the top of the file.
Which is a massive quality of life feature for the developer experience.
Huge. For anyone who hasn't used JSON schemas, it basically links your text file to Webreel's internal rulebook. That gives your code editor, like VS Code, full auto-completion. As you are typing out your script, your editor knows exactly what actions are allowed.
It's like having guardrails.
Totally. It will suggest hover or type, and will throw a red squiggly line if you misspell a parameter or forget a required field. You don't have to constantly tab back and forth to the documentation.
Once you have your script written, there is the validate command. You can run your configuration files through this command to check for any syntax errors or broken configurations before you actually spend the compute time spinning up the browser, downloading the assets, and rendering the video.
Which saves a lot of time.
It saves an immense amount of time during the iterative scripting process. And speaking of saving time, the preview command is absolutely essential. Running a full FMPEG encode takes time. The preview command runs your video script in a visible browser window on your machine, but without going through the heavy, CPU-intensive process of recording and encoding the frames.
Like a dress rehearsal.
It acts exactly like a dress rehearsal, letting you sit back and watch the automation play out in real time to ensure your timing feels right and your clicks are hitting the right targets.
But the real aha feature in the CLI toolkit has to be the composite command. When I read how this worked, it completely changed how I thought about video generation.
The composite command is where Webreel flexes its specialized architecture. It allows you to remix stored raw recordings and timelines into a completely new video instantly.
Explain how that works in practice.
Let's say you have just recorded a perfect 2-minute workflow. The timing is great, the page is loaded perfectly, but your marketing team reviews it and decides the automated cursor should actually be blue instead of red to match a new brand guideline.
Right.
Or maybe the keystroke HUD needs to be moved to a different corner of the screen. Normally, with traditional automation, you would have to change the settings and rerun the entire browser automation from scratch, hoping the web app doesn't have a random hiccup during the new recording.
Right, which is terrifying if you are recording against a live production environment.
Exactly. But with the composite command, Webreel doesn't do that. It takes the raw timeline data and the uncompressed frames it already stored from the first run, and it simply recomposites the new visual overlays on top of the existing footage without re-recording the browser session.
That is amazing.
It separates the browser driving from the video styling. It is incredibly efficient and completely eliminates the risk of a flaky network request ruining your styling update.
Let's look at the configuration and output options, because you're not just stuck with standard MP4 files at the end of this pipeline. Webreel gives you a lot of flexibility depending on where this media is going to live.
Right.
If you just need a quick, lightweight animation to embed directly into a GitHub re-add me file, you can use the GIF output configuration to generate an animated GIF. Or, if you prefer open web standards and smaller file sizes, there is a web output example provided.
WebM is great for that.
It demonstrates outputting the recording as a WebM video using VP9 encoding, which is fantastic for high-quality web streaming without the licensing headaches of MP4.
The way they have structured the configuration file itself is also very elegant. They clearly separate global settings from per-video settings. At the very top level of your JSON config, you can set your global defaults. For instance, you can set a global default delay. This dictates how many milliseconds the browser should automatically wait after every single step is executed. You can set a global viewport size, like standard 1080 by 1080 pixels, so every video is uniform. And you can define a default out dir to tell Webreel exactly which folder on your hard drive to drop the finished videos into.
But then you can override any of those global settings on a per-video basis, which leads us to what I think is the ultimate power feature, the multi-demo configuration.
Yes.
The repository documentation highlights an example where you can define multiple different videos in a single configuration file, and each one can produce its own tailored output from the exact same web page in the same run.
It's so efficient.
You could have one script visit your new feature landing page and output a high-definition 1080p MP4 with a specific CSS zoom level applied to make the text readable on desktop. And in the very same configuration file, you can output a secondary video that is specifically framed for a vertical mobile viewport, waiting for a completely different mobile CSS selector to load before it starts recording. One command, multiple perfectly formatted assets.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this repository, which currently sits at 483 stars and is actively being maintained with recent commits from Chris Tate, represents a genuine paradigm shift for technical communication and product marketing.
That's a strong statement.
It's true, though. Because Webreel is licensed under the highly permissive Apache 2.0 license, literally any organization can adopt this tool today without worrying about commercial restrictions. What this means in practice is that a company's marketing videos, their GitHub re-add-me files, their internal onboarding documentation, it can all be entirely version controlled.
The end of the Jira ticket for video updates.
Precisely. Think about the old workflow. A front-end developer changes the primary checkout button from blue to green. They have to message the technical writer. The technical writer has to file a ticket with the video editor. The video editor has to manually log in, re-record the screen, edit the video, render it, and upload it.
It takes days.
With Webreel, a developer changes the button color in the code and then simply submits a pull request that includes the updated Webreel JSON file if needed. Every time the software's user interface changes, the video configuration can be updated in code, and new, perfectly accurate videos can be automatically generated by your continuous integration pipeline in the background. It turns video from a manual art project into a reliable build artifact.
So what does this all mean? It means Webreel turns the tedious, error-prone, highly manual task of screen recording into a precise, automated, and repeatable code-driven process. For you listening right now, think about your own workflow. Think about how much time you spend trying to get the perfect take for a demo.
Too much time.
Think about doing take 47 because your mouse slipped by half an inch, or because a typo ruined a 5-minute demonstration right at the very end. Webreel gives you the power to script your demonstrations perfectly just one time, and then let the machine handle the flawless execution every single time after that.
It really is a remarkably powerful tool for today's development and documentation teams. But looking at this capability, it also raises a really fascinating point to ponder about where technology as a whole is heading.
Oh, how's that?
Throughout this deep dive, we've talked entirely about using Webreel to generate tutorials and marketing assets for human beings to consume. But think about the rapidly approaching future of artificial intelligence. As AI agents begin navigating the web autonomously on our behalf, booking flights, filling out complex medical forms, managing software infrastructure, how long before tools exactly like Webreel are used not just by developers, but by the AI itself?
Wow, interesting.
Imagine an AI agent automatically generating a Webreel receipt video of exactly what it clicked, what it typed, and what it saw on the screen, serving as irrefutable visual proof to the user that it completed the delegated job correctly.
Wow. That is an incredible thought to leave on. Visual proof generated by the very agents doing the work, outputting perfect video receipts. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Vercel Labs with Webreel. We hope it gave you some great ideas for how to stop recording Take 47 and start streamlining your own workflows. Keep exploring, keep building, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.